And we have some breaking news in baseball where Major League Baseball has handed down suspensions for Saturday night's brawl between the Chicago White Sox and Cleveland Guardians. You see it there. White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson, he got the worst of it, both in the fight and in discipline terms. He's going to get 6 games. His Cleveland counterpart, Jose Ramirez, will get 3. Now, both players have elected to appeal and will be eligible to play tonight. Now, they weren't the only ones facing discipline. Both managers, Terry Francona and Pedro Grifol, will get 1 game apiece, as will Cleveland third base coach Mike Sarbaugh. Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase will also get 1 game, while White Sox pitcher Michael Kopech and Guardians outfielder received an undisclosed fine. And we have our front office insider Jim Bowden here with us to discuss this brawl and the discipline here. Tim Anderson, 6 games. Jose Ramirez gets 3. Are these the kinds of suspensions that you were expecting, Jim? Were you expecting a little less, a little more? What was your reaction when you heard this news?
Yeah, I was expecting them to throw the book at Tim Anderson, which is exactly what Mike Hill of the commissioner's office did here. I mean, look, this is the 3rd suspension that Major League Baseball has handed down in Tim Anderson's career. And he's the one that really kind of started this on Friday night. He was trash talking with the Guardians first baseman Gabriel Arias. And then there were a couple of hard tags that the Guardians didn't appreciate that Tim Anderson did. And then when you look at when the fight started with Jose Ramirez, it was very clear that it was Tim Anderson that dropped the baseball glove first and wanted to fight Jose Ramirez, and Ramirez was trying to defend himself. So I was expecting them to throw the book at Tim Anderson, which they did. Of course, he's going to suspend, but I'm not sure it's going to get reduced from 6 games, to be honest. If it does, it's only going to go down to 5. On the other side for Ramirez, it's kind of unfortunate, right? Because he was Ramirez is a guy that his entire career has never been ejected, never been in a fight. You know, he's one of those guys that gets along with everybody. But it was a situation where he had to defend himself. So 3 games, pretty strong for him. I thought he would get a couple, but not 3. He's also going to appeal. Now, let's keep in mind, the White Sox are not in a pennant race. So the suspension of Tim Anderson really doesn't affect the Chicago White Sox and their standings. But the 3-game suspension with Ramirez and the Guardians is significant because Ramirez is by far their best player, Jacqueline. This is the guy that leads the team in WAR. He's the leader on and off the field. And so to miss him for 3 games in the pennant race when they're 3.5 games behind the Minnesota Twins, that's significant.
Yeah, we just showed the standings there, not only for the AL Central, but also in the wild card race as well. And you mentioned it for the White Sox, not as big of a deal, but for Ramirez and the Guardians, it certainly is. Or I guess I should say, do you think they can kind of carry the load while he's going to be out for these 3 games?
I mean, the Guardians can, but the problem is he's such an important part of the offense, right? At the trade deadline, they traded away Josh Bell, who is another power hitter that they had. They traded him to the Marlins. And so, you know, they're going to miss not just Ramirez, but you're missing Bell as well. And, you know, this is a team that tries to win on pitching and defense and base running and, you know, moving the chains. And so, you know, Ramirez is missed. So we'll see on appeal if he can get it down to 2 games instead of 3. I think that would help. But we'll have to wait and see. But again, I think the commissioner's office, the goal on this was to make sure we don't have further brawls in baseball. We know we've reduced it a lot over the last several years because of suspensions that have been put in place. So pretty significant what they gave Tim Anderson.
All right, that is our front office insider Jim Bowden joining us here on HQ as we're following that breaking news out of baseball, where Major League Baseball has handed down suspensions for Saturday night's brawl between the White Sox and the Guardians. Getting a look at those suspensions there on your screen. The big ones there, Tim Anderson for the White Sox suspended 6 games. Jose Ramirez for the Guardians suspended for 3 there. Now both players have elected to appeal and will be eligible to play tonight. And let's look at some notable games. Mentioned the Guardians. They are playing tonight against the Blue Jays. Some plus money there for Cleveland. That is at 7:10 Eastern. Braves and the Pirates, Yankees and the White Sox also in action there. That is at 8:10. Giants, Angels, and the Rangers and the A's at 9:40 Eastern.